we will begin public comment, and we will hear from the applicant. And then, from our land use member, Jen Colvin, who will have a minority report. And then we will turn it over to all of you for public comment. I want to remind you all that according to the Brown Act, during public comment, there is no cross conversation. You give your statement, and there are no questions, and there's no comment back and forth. All right, so now I'm going to turn this over to Ron Zick.
Thank you. The Land Use Committee comes to the board with its decision to request approval of the El Villagio Toscano project subject to 23 conditions. We did not reach this decision lightly. The project has been in the works for several years. 15 months ago, it was again presented to the Land Use Committee. At that time, I appointed a working group of 5 to meet with representatives of the developer, analyze the project, examine alternatives, and return to the full committee with a recommendation. This group and the representatives met for long hours once or twice a month and spent time going over materials between meetings. I commend them for their hard work. During that time, the developer made numerous changes to the project. It was reduced from over 500 residential units to 399. Originally, the project height presented a 100-foot solid wall at the Sepulveda Boulevard frontage. It is now stepped back, starting at 4 stories on Sepulveda, and there's a 13,000-foot plaza facing the street. There's landscaping of about 2 acres between the buildings. The developer has agreed to take over the landscaping and maintenance of an orphan strip of city land in the next block south on Sepulveda. This commitment will run with the land. In the opinion of the committee, it's a project that will add to Sherman Oaks and be an asset to our community. As the economy improves, we look forward to 2 rebuilt supermarkets and an improved Fashion Square. This and other projects will keep Sherman Oaks as one of the prime places to live in Southern California. In order to assure compatibility with the community, we imposed 4 conditions on the project and accepted 19 additional conditions that the developer preferred after hearing our objections. There were another 3 conditions offered by the developer that we rejected. We feel this is a good project and it should be approved. The developer and the community are both giving something, and the benefit will be to both. We've heard much about traffic, and traffic is a problem, but it's not the fault of this or any other developer or any individual driver. There are solutions available to us. During the long deliberations, the committee was critical of several government agencies that have dragged their feet in working with our community. The LA Department of Transportation sits on
Good evening, President Murad and board members. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I'm not as great as Tom, but I'll hold it anyways. My name is Paul Kruger. I'm with David Paul and Associates, representing the applicant for the project at El Villagio Toscano. Tonight we'll try to make a very brief presentation to keep everything moving forward. We're excited finally to be here at this point in the process. As you can tell, after 2 years and dozens of meetings with the Land Use Committee and the working group, we very much appreciate the input and the constructive advice that was provided to us. And as a result, we believe we have a better project to show for that. Tonight we have 6 points we want to cover briefly. Project overview, its evolution, how how we're addressing traffic, the community and economic benefits, the request itself, and our efforts with community outreach. The site itself is approximately 5 acres on Sepulveda Boulevard, bounded by the 101 freeway and Camarillo. Based on the site's unique location, city planning policies, the market demand, we've developed a set of goals and objectives to address what we believe are more smart growth principles. With that, we've identified transit-oriented development with its proximity to the employment center, its location with mass transit, and location within the existing shops and the retail and restaurant entertainment areas already within Sherman Oaks. We're also attempting to meet local housing demand and provide community-serving uses within walking distance. As Ron mentioned as well, we're also looking and excited about the opportunity to beautify the important gateway that we have in responsibility with the Sherman Oaks entrance, as well as obvious, to stimulate the local economy and the commerce. As mentioned, in light of the unique site characteristics, we believe the specific plan exceptions that we're asking for are appropriate and will establish a precedent. As you can imagine, the site itself is adjacent to the 101 freeway at the interchange on the connector road. On 2 sides, we have a freeway. The third, we have a 6-story parking garage. And on the 4th, Sepulveda Boulevard. We're surrounded by a 26-foot high sound wall from Caltrans. We do not abut an R1 zone. Our nearest residential, which is an R3, is more than 100 feet across Sepulveda Boulevard. And in fact, with the specific plan, we're more than a quarter-mile away from the boulevard itself, from Ventura Boulevard, that is. We believe that there's some outdated and inconsistent zoning that's occurred that we're looking to remedy. And with that, obviously our adjacency to the transit centers. Mentioned before about the outdated zoning. Current zoning or designation is regional commercial for the city's general plan, but the zoning itself is inconsistent with this designation. Part of our application request will be to rezone the property to C2, as well as to keep in compliance with the regional commercial designation under the general plan that we have today. Part of the unique location of this property is the fact that within a walking distance of approximately 15 minutes, we have approximately 6.5 million square feet of office space within the neighborhood to attract and provide housing for it. In addition, we have mass transit. We have 7 lines with the intersection of Ventura and Sepulveda, some of which go over to Westwood, others that go to the Orange Line, and we find this property to be a very unique location in which to have connections for the entire valley. And as you may be aware, Metro is also studying the Sepulveda corridor alignment as an East Valley connector as well. As Ron mentioned, over the 2-year period, we have reduced the project coming from 500 to 399 units, of which 52,000 square feet of retail space in the ground level. The ground level retail is comprised of 45,000 square feet for a specialty grocery store, with the remaining 7,000 square feet for neighborhood retail. There will be a mix of all housing types, from studios, 1s, 2s, and townhome units. We have, as you can tell, reduced the number over 100 units on the project, and that reduction has also led itself into some height transitioning. As Ron mentioned, we transition the height from 4 stories along Sepulveda. As we go further into the site, it goes to 6, and then back up to 8 on the contour of the freeway. About 2/3 of the site will remain within the specific height limits of the specific plan. As with all of our projects that we engage in, this project will also be a LEED Silver designated project for which we look to provide the enhancements that we have articulated here, some of which are the facade treatments and the landscaping improvements. The points of access to the site are mainly addressed from Camarillo. We do have one access point from Sepulveda, which is a right-in, right-out only. The main points of access is mentioned on Camarillo with a service road that connects on the back side of the property along the contour of the freeway that provides the main entry into the residential, and also another point for the commercial to move out from.
Thank you, Ron, for inviting me to speak tonight on behalf of the Land Use Committee Minority Report. As Ron said, all of us on land use committee took this very seriously. We've been reviewing it, some of us have been reviewing it for about 8 years. Those of us who voted against this project are not against the project as such, but against the project at its current size. We have approved mixed-use projects before in Sherman Oaks. If the Toscano project was a more appropriate size, we would approve that as well. However, the Toscano project is a particular problem because of the extent of its disregard for the specific plan criteria. The specific plan was initiated 21 years ago to protect our community from the growth that was getting out of line. If you look at the high rises on Sepulveda and Ventura, this is what was happening back in the 70s and the 80s. The specific plan was put together to protect our cities. Our community was given a certain amount of floor area ratio, which is the site times the multiplier, to give developers how much they're allowed to build. And it was put at this site at 1.5. So let's talk about rezoning, please, for a second. Rezoning is not a right. Rezoning is something that has to be earned on merit. Just because this is zoned right now R1 and parking zones and one of those small commercial part of it doesn't mean it has a right to be rezoned beyond just coming here and getting a rezoning. If I was a developer and I was rezoned to specific plan criteria, that would be quite a boon, quite a victory. But Toscano is asking for more than that. They're asking for a density that is twice what is allowed by the specific plan. They're asking for a 3.0 FAR as opposed to the 1.5 FAR in the specific plan. That means they're asking for 700,000 square feet of buildable area as opposed to the 350,000 square feet of buildable area that is in the specific plan. The height, the specific plan is 75-foot height limit on this site. They're asking for 100 feet. The rationale is that there's a 26-foot high sound wall along the freeway. They have a podium of parking that puts their first unit 26 feet high. If they built within that 75 feet, they could have 4 or 5 stories of units that all see above that wall. Why do they need to go to 8 stories for 100 feet high? Open space. The criteria for open space is that it can only cover 75% of the site. Open space has nothing to do with the size of the project. Open space has to do with the size of the property. On 5 acres,
The Land Use Committee. This is a big project and we know it. We struggled long and hard with this project. And to say that we're not aware of what the impacts are would not be true. However, it took us 15 months of hard work to develop as best we could conditions that would temper some of the impacts. It was important that we obtain those conditions because the political leadership in Los Angeles supports development no matter what the impact. We were not under any illusion that if we couldn't bring this down, that it could very easily pass in its original configuration. This project will face much scrutiny from the entities and other agencies within the city. We are not the final decision maker, and we hope that our work will be used as a basis for continued work. Many of the conditions that you saw that were brought up by the developer were actually developed by our committee. We developed almost all of the conditions and they worked with us to put them into their package. But before I end, I want to just briefly say that I am compelled to vigorously object to the way this process has been subverted. The opposition opinion sent to the neighborhood council, I'm going to finish, last week was not and should not have been given out without viewing by the Land Use Committee. There was no input from those others holding the minority opinion,
except one. It has always been our policy to vet reports from luck within the committee, and this was done totally improperly.
Jackie Campbell.
Hi, I am against the project, and I did give my time over to Jeff.
I think you speak into the mic.
I'm sorry. I am against the project. I voted against the project after careful consideration. I appreciate the work done by the subcommittee, as well as the work done by the land use committee. And I agree with Jeff Calvin on everything.
Thank you, Jackie.
My name is Jackie Diamond. I've been on the Land Use Committee since the beginning of the Neighborhood Council. And I am not against the Toscano people and building something wonderful on that property. I just am against this.
All right? Thank you. Okay, Mark.
Okay. In Sherman Oaks, the Ventura-specific plan is literally the law of the land. It's not just a suggestion, it's an ordinance of such force that it invokes the LA Municipal Code in limiting development. Let me add to the list of compelling reasons to say no to this proposal. From the plain language of the law, the developer may have already agreed to conform Toscano to this specific plan in a covenant that runs with the land. Section 17 says, before the city can issue a demolition permit, a property owner must execute and record a covenant and agreement acknowledging the contents and limitations of the specific plan. Online property records from the DBS show that Toscano has obtained permits for demolition on the site. So Toscano may have already covenanted to conform to the specific plan. We raised this issue with the Land Use Committee, never received a response. Also from the plain language, it appears the specific plan may ban Toscano as proposed, because a project can't be more than 10,000 square feet unless it can mitigate traffic impacts to a level of insignificance. Under the EIR, we know traffic cannot be mitigated to a level of insignificance at Sepulveda and Camarillo, at Sepulveda and Ventura, at the entrance to the 405 South, etc., etc. There are many reasons to say no to Toscano, but only one real reason to say yes, to line the pockets of the M. David Paul Company. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Jason Sweeney.
Hi, I'm Jason Swing. I represent a small group of homeowners in the area very close to the Toscano site. My concern is the vacant lot. It's as you have said, this process has taken many years, and if this project gets rejected, that lot is going to stay vacant. We have problems with vagrants living and squatting in the vacant areas next to the river around in our neighborhood. We've been dealing with the authorities trying to alleviate this issue. I feel that there's a lot of crime and a lot of things that can happen within a vacant lot. You can't really police an area that's vacant and with a chain link fence. I think that all of the things that they have done to conform to the city council's requirements have been all good things.
She wanted to know, you to know that she was in favor of the project.
All right, we'll put her name on there. Okay. Okay, Mira?
No, I'm
Mira first.
It's surprised me that I'm speaking. I wrote that I just have an opinion. But anyway, I live actually south of the boulevard. And right now, if I want to go north on Sepulveda, it's an impossible mission so many hours of the day. I don't know if a big project like that will enable me at all to choose Sherman Oaks around that area to go shopping in. I probably will go somewhere else. And I think you need to think about it.
Thank you, Mira. Maria?
Can you hear me? A smaller Toscano would be a win for all of us tonight. Everything that people like about Toscano, they can have with a smaller project. Smaller still fills the empty lot while reducing the cars entering an already gridlocked intersection causing these cars to pass through our neighborhood to reach Ventura Boulevard. Smaller still introduces mixed use to the boulevard without the height intrusion into our community. Smaller would reduce the exemptions and precedents being set. Smaller can still be profitable for Toscano, who has owned this property since the 70s. The future tenants of Toscano should not be more important than those of us who already live in the neighborhood. We have been asking for a smaller project since 2004, and we still have 400 units, and our concerns about density, height, and traffic are still not being addressed. I fail to see the downside in a smaller Toscano.
Thank you very much. Rita, is Rita here? No Rita.
It's not Rita.
I know this is Chuck. Okay, Chuck.
Thank you, council members. My name is Doug Arsenal of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, representing more than 370 businesses throughout the San Fernando Valley. We agree that this project sets a precedent, one of moving Sherman Oaks towards achieving state and local environmental sustainability and economic goals and laws. This beneficial addition to the Sherman Oaks community will revitalize Ventura's Sepulveda Boulevard as a walkable environment in accordance with our region's air quality and transit-oriented development goals outlined in 2006 AB 32, the Global Warming Solutions Act, by then Assembly Member Fran Pavley.
Good evening, councils. My name is Francisco Navarro. I'm a member of the, a resident of the impacted community. And I'm against the project as it is being proposed by Toscano. For the very same reasons that Jeff Calvin so accurately pointed out, and for all the same points. If you approve this project that is being presented, you are going to set a precedent that nobody's going to get us out of. You are setting a precedent for other developers to come in and look for the open spaces that are available and overbuild, create bigger density, create bigger problems to the traffic problems that we already have. So I urge you, I implore you to vote no on this project as it stands and ask them to come back with a reasonable project. We're all for development. We all want to clear that area, and build something beautiful there, but make it per the current FAR. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Aaron Reno, Ludwig. Rick Mayer.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening on really what's the most important project in the last 8 years in Sherman Oaks. My name's Rick Mayer. I'm a former member of the Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council, a former mayor of Luck, and the former chair of Luck for a couple of years too. I'm also a landscape architect and
Sepulveda in Ventura. I live at Moore Park in Fulton. I used to take Ventura Boulevard. I no longer do that because the traffic is so bad, so I started taking the freeway. I get off at Sepulveda at 9 o'clock in the morning and it is backed up many times, making a left-hand turn to go under the freeway and go down Sepulveda can take me as long as 20 minutes. I also saw a fire truck and an ambulance blocked and could not get down the street 2 weeks ago when there was an emergency. And I believe that the density at 9 in the morning when people leave this project to go to work, that it will increase it and make it 10 times worse. If there's something that is there that has the traffic a little bit later in the day, it will be much easier on everybody else because between 8 and 9:30 in the morning, it is impossible.
Are you for or against this project?
I'm against the project.
My name is Marshall Long. I am speaking also for SOHA. What is wrong with this project are just three things: density, traffic, and height. They've been summarized by Jeff Calvin very eloquently. I also wanted to add that the project will generate over 5,000 additional automobile trips per day and dump them onto one of the busiest intersections in Los Angeles, if not the country. The land use.
My name's Alan Clare. I'm in favor of the project. I'm a businessman in the community, also a member of the local chamber, Sherman Oaks Chamber of Commerce. And for brevity, I will just echo the comments of the gentleman from VICA, and also.
Leonard Petrius does not wish to speak, but wants to be reported as against. Ken Cole, Daniel Tam, do you want to speak, Daniel? Are you speaking? And Daniel Krajian.
Hi, I'm Mimi. I'm a resident at the Grand, which is currently in ill repair, 250 units. And this is my son who walks to Ivy Bound because I work in Glendale. As an educator, I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of all the students in the area at Ivy Bound and Paul.
My name is Daniel Tam. I am a resident of Sherman Oaks. I want to applaud the committee on your very hard work. I want to applaud this project for working with the committee as you have. I want to simply say the specific plan ought to be respected. The specific plan very clearly was designed with residents in mind to also maintain business opportunities. We do want this project. We want business opportunities in Sherman Oaks. We want our quality of life to be enhanced, as this project will. But it's way beyond the specific plan. If it could conform to the specific plan, bring the shovels, break ground. It's absolutely a wonderful thing for the quality of life. I'm against the project just as its current form demonstrates. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Daniel Corrigan. I go to Ivy Bound Academy. It's the school on Morrison and Sepulveda.
Linda Brooks. And Kelly Malone does not wish to speak, but wants to be, I'm not sure.
Again.
You want to be reported as against?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start with Julie.
I'm Julie Gertler, the founder of Consensus Inc., a consultant to the developer, but I'm here tonight not as a consultant, but as someone who came to Sherman Oaks in 1955. For the last 12 years was a
Hi, my name is Lisa Petrus, and I live in the adjacent neighborhood to this project. There are 7 streets between Kester and Sepulveda. 3 of them already have restricted parking. The other streets have overflow parking from the Galleria currently. Camarillo already has restricted right-hand turn parking from 7 to 9 a.m. That neighborhood cannot take any more traffic through there. There have been 2 deaths at the corner of Lamona and Ventura Boulevard. 2 people have died at that crosswalk. We cannot take anything else in that neighborhood. That's the other major problem with that neighborhood. There's 1 street that has sidewalks, Lamona. The other 6 streets do not have sidewalks. There is no street lighting on any of those streets, and Camarillo is a throughway for the fire department to get through to our neighborhood if there's an emergency. Enough is enough. Build a beautiful building, obey the laws. I'm adding on to my house, I'm obeying the laws. I'm not making a house 3 times bigger because that's what I want. There are laws in this community, and you need to respect them.
Thank you, Lisa. Paulette?
I'm Paulette Kloss. I live on Lamona Avenue, and thank the Land Use Committee for all their hard work. I am against the project. I think it's beautiful. It looks beautiful.
Yes, hi, my name is Rolando. Simply I'm a student at LA Valley College, but I used to work at the Sherman Oaks Galleria cinema. That was my first worked since my high school and all that and everything else, but simply I support this project because simply, like, I know they did some changes and everything else of like the size and everything, but I simply really like how they did the landscape and everything else. And I know simply the number one reason everybody's talking about is traffic between Ventura and Sepulveda and the 405 freeway. So simply, I'm really glad that I went to this transit, the East San Fernando Valley Transit Corridor I went, and they simply told that it's going to be go straight towards Sherman Oaks on Sepulveda Boulevard. So I'm glad something that with this transit it will get some relief and everything else, and I know some people are going to complain. So I support this project and everything else. So
Thank you very much. Bob?
My name is Bob Anderson. I'm a resident of Sherman Oaks, and I oppose the project as it is currently configured. I think it was best said by Jeff Calvin in his 7 points, and it is very telling that you would have a minority report that shows how important this is even within your own community. I believe that it's very simple. The project should be scaled back and should meet the Ventura Boulevard specific plan, which is the law. We should not open the door for precedent-setting changes and rezoning and exceptions to the plan. This is something you should dig deep into your conscience when you vote tonight, because you should think about the precedent that you are setting for the future of development in Sherman Oaks. You should also consider adding significant queue conditions to this, and those conditions should be completely specified to add additional restrictions to this project beyond their meeting the specific plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Ms. Banks, and all the members of the board. With your permission, I'd like to present visuals to my neighborhood's opposition to this program as it is currently stated. Just to recap, the density is simply too great. It violates the law. We show where 400 homes currently are and what they're proposing 399 homes will be the same amount of area. Traffic, these lines show you where the traffic is currently.
Jessica Gottlieb and Russ Meyer. Okay.
Hi, I'm Connie Hearn. Again, I live in the neighborhood, and yes, we've all been through this routine before. We always talk about traffic, we always talk about the height, we always talk about the specific plan, and it always goes through. I have a question for the rest of you. Is our infrastructure prepared for another 400 families in this neighborhood? Do we have the schools? Do we have the police and fire protection? Do we have the utilities, the water, the power? What happens the next route year? I guess we're already in one this year. Do we have the infrastructure to put another 400 families plus retail in that spot?
Thank you. Number 5, Bruce Ridley.
Frequently am called upon to help communities gain investors. Infrastructure is obviously an important thing, but mostly what we find is a shortage of quality developers willing to invest in our communities. Every community in this Southern California is fighting for opportunities to find good developers willing to invest money in our community. I represent a number of communities where we can't seem to do that. Good developers are driven away by lack of opportunity or perhaps local objections. When we drive away good developers, we're not driving away just one developer. We're sending
against the project as it's currently proposed. Let's be honest here. Clearly, the David Ball Company has rights. They have, and so does microphone. They have rights to build to the specific plan. Also, the citizens have rights, particularly those adjacent to the property, not to be overwhelmed by project that is significantly in excess of the specific plan. But let's also remember one thing in the 5-4 vote that Ron shared. No volunteer committee has the right